Let's make that money, y'all. Let's get that bread.
Well, I mean, you know.
What? That's what we're doing here, right?
Are we?
Yeah, relatively speaking. Good morning, upstate South Carolina. How y'all doing? Welcome in the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. My name is Rob Brown. The pleasure is exclusively mine. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, of course, is my partner in crime, my co-host, the executive producer of the co-host, the executive producer of the station. He is the great one. Lonzo's here as well. I wanted to get that right.
I built this place, yo. You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the audio enjoyment entering your ear holes right now here, built exclusively on the blood, sweat, and tears of the great one. Toiling away.
Shoulders are wide for a reason.
You want to know why Lonzo's back hurts so much? It's from carrying this station, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of us just privileged to be in the presence of the great one.
About time you realize
that. Good to have you guys. Hope everybody is doing exceptionally well out there, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. He is Lonzo. You are listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. You are watching The Rob Brown Show on our live stream, available to you at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show on either YouTube or Twitch. Love to have you join us there and watch the show. Go behind the scenes. Lonzo and I are live all 3 hours. During the show, during the breaks, we interact with you guys on the stream. Conversations that would never make it on air frequently take place off of it. So make sure you join us in the live stream. We have got 1,000 things to talk about on the radio broadcast today. I know that it is football season. And I know that you guys are caught up with the playoffs 4 weeks away. I know that you are still reveling in your ACC championship, Tiger fans. I know that you are hooked right now on the search for your new offensive coordinator, Gamecock fans. And there was a little bit of smoke last night about who the new OC will be. And I don't know if it is the dude whose name caught a lot of traction last night. I am telling you that if it is, Shane Beamer's name will be linked to this, and I don't think it's going to go well. I'll tell you who that is coming up very briefly. I've got a gripe that I need to get up off my chest, off my barrel chest. And it's a hockey gripe. Actually, it's not a hockey gripe. It's an NHL gripe. And I'm going to get to that in a little while because I'm curious. I was thinking about this last night. There was a Greenville Swamp Rabbit game last night. For those of you that do not know, I am the in-arena announcer, the game host for that team. And I was standing in the Zamboni tunnel last night.
Wait, there's the Zamboni has a specific tunnel.
Yeah, it's tunnel.
It's called the Zamboni.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the tunnel where the Zamboni
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that, is that tunnel the Zamboni's the only one to come out of that?
Well, I mean,
allowed to come out of that tunnel?
people stand down there. There's other room for storage and whatnot, but the Zam tunnel leads to the double doors that it uses to get out onto the ice, and it is the predominant user of that tunnel. Therefore, it is the Zamboni tunnel.
Is that where the wrestlers come out?
If you were watching a show, ordinarily that is where the gorilla position would be. That is where the entrance.
I'm trying to get in my mind where it would be exactly. Okay.
It's about the width of the end of the hockey rink where it starts to curve around. and it goes into the back, into the guts of the arena. And ordinarily, that is where the gorilla position would be at a wrestling show. Anyway, I tried to get them to rename it the Rob Brown Tunnel since I spend most of my time in there, and they did not go for that. Apparently, all of hockey does not recognize how important I am to the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Anyway, I'm standing in the tunnel. There are 2 or 3 dudes from the Bits that are down there with me. And during intermissions, between periods, we will pull up on the phones NHL games, right? And we'll keep an eye on the NHL while we're playing. And we were doing that last night, watching a couple of games. And I genuinely got to asking myself off the top of my head, like, does hockey have a fan base? Because it was a pretty good crowd for a Wednesday as the regular folks shuffled in. And I'm looking around like, okay, it's Wednesday night. It's 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. And it's a pretty good crowd up in here watching some local professional hockey. And then I'm watching games, and I'm thinking about the teams that play across the South that have popped up the last couple of years, and a few of the teams that have been around for a hot minute: the Dallas Stars, the Tampa Lightning, the Nashville Predators, the Florida Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, I gotta be real here. I'm pretty happy with the progression of hockey across the South, right? Like, I still think there's a lot of work to be done. And part of the reason I say that is because right now, if you go to the ESPN NHL website, right? If you go to any other league, NBA, NFL, college football, etc., you're going to see like a lot of stories. You go to the NHL site, there's usually like 3 or 4. So, and a big chunk of that is because ESPN lost the NHL rights. So they don't really push that product as hard as they push other products. Like, even, and I'm not saying this to disparage, obviously I'm a fan, but even WWE has more stories written on it right now on ESPN than the NHL does most days of the week. Anyway, I'm looking around and I'm like, it's a pretty good crowd for a Wednesday night. I'm watching games in Tampa. I'm watching games in Nashville. And I'm looking at Columbus, Ohio, Las Vegas, not traditional hockey cities. And I'm watching some pretty good crowds that are turning up on weeknights to watch NHL games, to watch Greenville Swamp Rabbit games, etc. And I'm wondering how many of y'all are at all interested. I'm not necessarily talking about a hardcore fan, right? I'm not talking about it's Tuesday night, you're like, let me go outside, fire up the grill at a hockey game. But I'm saying, that Alex Ovechkin's at 795 and chasing 800 goals. How many of y'all know what's going on in the NHL, right? Like, I'm not talking about sitting down and watching 2-3 games a week like you do with college or pro football, like you do with college and pro basketball. I'm talking you just know what's going on. And the second aspect of that conversation is this, and I'm going to get to this in more detail later on in the show. Lonzo, how much does the presentation of a sporting event on television impact your desire or decision to watch it? If you tune in and a game or an event just has absolutely crap production, does it lead you to turn that off?
Yeah, but it bothers me differently than it probably does other people because of what I've done for a long time in my life, producing radio. I'm interested in that stuff. And yeah, presentation is very important in anything, whether it's standing up in front of all the people at work and presenting, or being at a awards assembly, or putting on a sporting event. Presentation is very important.
I asked that question because I was flipping around last night watching a couple of games. And I don't know if you watched, and it's not a trick question, I'm genuinely curious. Have you watched any NHL games this year?
No.
Okay. The reason I ask if you've watched any NHL games this year is because the NHL has done something this year that I find entirely infuriating. Around the boards, right? You know what I'm talking about? Around the outside of the rink, they have
just because I haven't watched, does it? I mean, but you're looking at me when you're saying it. I mean, you know, I'm not anti-hockey. I understand it, except for icing, and you think it's simple that everyone should understand icing, but we don't.
I don't. Icing's a tough call to understand.
Okay, all right. So
offsides is tough to understand.
Yeah. So I understand hockey. I've been to hockey games before.
Okay. The reason I ask is because the NHL has done something this year that I don't think that they can back out of yet. I don't think that they can back out of it, but in not being able to back out of it, they have created a monster that makes it harder for people to get involved with, right? On the boards, which are the white area, the wall that wraps around the rink, usually there is always a white solid part to the wall that is about hip high, navel high, and then obviously there's glass above that so that they can keep the action on the ice, but you can see down into the rink.
Where if you're a goon like me, you'll be driving someone's face into that.
I mean, as long as you don't get called for boarding, end up with a 2-minute minor.
I slipped, and sometimes it's worth
still boarding.
Sometimes it's worth it.
So you put your boys on the 5v4 power play. They got to play a man down while you sit in the box and take a breather.
Got to send a message.
Not a great look. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is because this year, for whatever reason, they have switched to digital boards. I'm going to show you an illustration of it, not a video. If you're watching, for instance, this game between the New Jersey Devils and the Washington Senators, Capitals, whatever they are, I want you to look at that image on the screen, Lonzo. And if you're not on the stream right now, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show on Twitch or YouTube. Look at that image, that still image taken directly from that game, Lonzo.
That would be very distracting. It's like the billboards on the side of the road that change. Your eyes are automatically drawn to it.
Yep.
Which takes your attention off the road.
Now, here's what I'm pointing out. They have effectively taken those whiteboards and now they green screen national advertisements onto them. And I
okay. So the hockey players can't see that.
Correct.
Okay.
Now
all right. So I'm good with it then.
There are regular vinyl graphic ads on the walls, on the boards at every hockey arena. Right.
But those don't change, right?
Correct. They're just vinyled on. They're billboards.
All
They're
right.
just vinyled on. And if you, for instance, come to a Greenville Swamp Rabbits game, which I will get Zoe to one before the end of this year. If you go to a Swamp Rabbit game, for instance, or an NHL game, you'll see those ads and they're all local, right? Because the businesses that advertise on those are trying to advertise to people that are in that city. So if you go, for instance, to a Swamp Rabbits game, you will see an ad for, pulling one off the top of my head, but, you know, free plug, you're welcome. One of the major sponsors for the Swamp Rabbits is New Balance Greenville, right? There's a New Balance store. And if you go to the game, you'll see a big vinyl New Balance Greenville ad that is there. Or an ad for the local axe throwing place is up there. In fact, I should have used this one out the gate. Sorry, Steve. There's one for the Rise Guys P1 Pilsner over in the corner, right? You see Matt and Nine's big old faces plastered onto the wall. And that's all well and good.
It's just because things have to be blown up. Their faces aren't really big
No, it's
in
life
real
size.
life.
They're life-size heads.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're life-size heads. So the ads in the arena. The ads in the arena are stationary, they're vinyl, etc. On television, though, the NHL has decided to green screen on top of those white walls advertisements that are nationally relevant, right? And so when you go to a hockey game in person, you'll see the P1, the Rise Guys P1 Pilsner ad. But if you're watching on TV, that ad would be covered because obviously if you're watching that game in Detroit, Michigan, Rise Guys P1 Pilsner is irrelevant to you. And instead what you'll see is an advertisement for like a rental car company, right? But I want to show you something else. And I do have to apologize because I can't blow it up full screen. But look at this advertisement, Lonzo. And again, I wish I could make it bigger, and I apologize that I can't. But if you look at this advertisement, it is for, I think, Enterprise Rental Car. Enterprise Rental Car. And it's not their fault, right? I'm not anti-Enterprise. It's not their fault. But if you look at that ad, on that digital billboard, on that green screen, there is a car that drives around the boards.
Yeah, I'm watching that car. I'm not watching the action.
You're damn right you're not.
And every time that I can't help it, I got to watch the car every time it goes around.
And not only does the car go around, but when it drives past the Enterprise sign, that sign has a gleam across it, like a light has just shined across it, right? Super distracting. And on top of that, when the hockey puck moves up and down the rink, though, because these are green screen digital ads and they're not hard ads, vinyl ads on the wall like they always have been, the camera sweeping across the rink, everything goes out of focus except the puck and these advertisements. So not only do they jump out to your eye, but I found this guy on Twitter last night talking about them, and he was pointing out that causes eye fatigue, right? Because you're moving your eye with the game, but your eye is trying to focus on the only thing that is in focus. Your eye is trying to keep an eye on the only thing that's actually focused in, and it throws you off. All of that to say, to me as a hockey fan, it doesn't make NHL hockey unwatchable. It doesn't mean I can't follow hockey. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the games. I still do. I'm saying that it is yet another example of the point where the quest for the almighty dollar has become more important than fan experience. The quest for the almighty dollar has become more important than Rob Brown, NHL hockey fan, being able to enjoy this hockey game. And it's disappointing, right? You guys wonder why all these changes get made in the NFL and college football and the NBA and the MLB and all these different games. And by the way, we have a new Major League Baseball scandal that dropped yesterday evening and this morning that we're going to get into in hour number 2 out of the gate. But we have a new MLB scandal that dropped out of the gate that we're going to get to in the next hour that I will 100% put at the chase for the almighty dollar, for publicity. We live in a clickbait world where we want to see something cool and we want to see it right now. And MLB cheated, perhaps, and directly in favor of one big market team to make them look better. These are the types of things that hurt sports, right? I've always joked, for instance, Lonzo and I made the joke that there's nothing that anyone loves more than anti-wrestling guy going, wrestling's fake, right? My response has always been, everything on TV is sports, is fake, right? Except sports. But then you get stories like coming out of MLB, and I'm like, maybe even MLB is fake a little bit to some degree. And the reason why is the quest for the almighty dollar. And I understand it. I get it. It's a system we live in, man. At the end of the day, you chase that dream by chasing the dollar. But It has made NHL hockey harder to enjoy. Not impossible, but harder. And that's what happens when you get these leagues that are questing for the dollar and don't give a damn about us. Welcome to the real world. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I got a few things to jump into. Rashad Beard is going to join us coming up at 9:35. We'll talk some Panther football with Rashad. We'll open up the 10 o'clock hour with the MLB scandal, which if you are a baseball fan, you are going to want to hear this one. Rob Manfred is going to get called to the carpet on this. That's coming up at 10 and a whole lot more. Fight Club this morning at 11:20. Make sure you're here for that. Got a lot of stuff to get into. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Stay right there, stream. We will be right back.
In 2001,
All right, dudes and dudettes, we back. Diggs, welcome in, brother. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Good to have you. What's happening?
For over 21 years, Sean's philosophy was and still is to say yes when others say no. They specialize in FHA, USDA, conventional loans, and 100% financing for VA loans. Find out more about the local veteran-owned mortgage company. Visit PalmettoStateHomeMortgage.com.
This feature is sponsored by Steel. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local Steel dealer or go online to steelusa.com/gift guide. Real Steel. Find yours.
Sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries starting at just $79.99.
You and I should have prepared a written apology for Rashad.
All right, this isn't super relevant, but you guys know I love cruising some message boards, Lonzo, because only the most passionate / insane and the line blurred between the two very frequently hang out on college football message boards. All right. I'm doing this because it's a quick segment. We got Rashad Beard coming up
They're
next.
probably like all my age or older too.
Message boards. There is a Miami message board, a hurricane message board called Inside the U. And I've enjoyed, for those of you who don't know Rob Brown, there aren't many things in life that I actively dislike, right? Not like I'm not a fan. I mean, like I actively root against.
Yeah, we all know the ones that they are. So
The city of Jacksonville as a whole is one.
Urban Meyer,
Urban Meyer is one.
old people, children.
Okay, no, stop it. Stop it.
The word binky.
I do hate that one. The Miami Hurricanes are on that list. Y'all, I can't stand a Miami Hurricane. All right? With all due respect to my guys like Hurricane Jeff, my dude Najee on Twitter, who's a Canes guy. I like a couple of individual Hurricanes fans, but as a whole, that program can kick rocks. All right? There was a recruit who decommitted from the University of Miami. And that kid, and I'm trying to find his name for you. But that kid flipped away from Miami not too long ago because his mom is very sick and he wanted to stay closer to home. Right? He was ready to go to Miami. His mom got sick. He's like, no, I'm going to stay home. I want to be close to mom. Now, I don't know about you, Zoe, but that's a perfectly legitimate reason to me. A perfectly legitimate reason for me for a kid to decide to go to a different school, to decommit and go elsewhere, to stay close to a family member who is sick. And I came across this message on the message board from Space Kane 321. Space Kane 321 says, bleep him. Want to be close to mama? Mama's boy. Bleep him. Did I say that already? I can't even begin to imagine if my dad was sick and I was at Hawaii, he would be like, WTF, are you coming home for me? Have I taught you nothing? True story. These kids are, insert slang term for female genitalia, bleep him. I don't really need, I don't feel, Lonzo, like I need to add any further commentary to that. These are the type of fans that bring a whole fan base down, right? And the worst part is it takes interaction with one of those people. Lonzo's told the story of one Clemson fan.
Well, there was a collaboration, but yes.
A couple of Clemson fans that said something to him at his first Clemson game that have turned him into an arch nemesis for your program. One interaction with like a few Clemson fans, and now Zoe spits hot fire at you.
I don't know if you knew this, but South Carolina beat Clemson in the Palmetto Bowl.
You have pointed that out. Bleep him, want to be close to mama, mama's boy, bleep him. Because the kid decided not to play football for your school so he could stay close to his mother who is dying? And that's your reaction? Take a chill pill, my man. Take a deep breath. Relax. This kid didn't stab you in the back. He didn't leave your program in its most dire moment. What? Just what?
Yeah, your program's still going to be mid or lower.
I was going to say, don't give him that much credit.
Probably lower.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Oh, and by the way, your head coach, Mario Cristobal, the guy that left his old job to come to Miami, I don't know if you remember this, Space Kane 321, but one of the reasons that he cited for leaving his old job to move to Miami, aside from the fact that he is alum, is because his mom lives in Miami and is getting up there in age and her health is declining. And your head coach said he was coming home to Miami to be closer to his mom. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That message, by the way, had a couple of dozen upvotes on it on that message board too, meaning other Miami fans felt the same way. I don't define your fan base based on your worst fans, but that's a real bad look. A real bad look. All right, let's do this. Let's pop out for a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Rashad Beard is one of the hosts of the Panther Nation podcast. He's been joining us for a number of months on Thursdays, took a little bit of a break for Thanksgiving. He makes his triumphant return to the radio broadcast in the next segment. We'll talk Panther football with Rashad. That is coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you, this is the Fan Upstate.
Straight losses for the Hornets as they fall to 7-18. They will return home to face the Knicks on Friday. NHL, the Hurricanes will play next on Saturday in Brooklyn against.
I hate spelling out message boards because if I spell it wrong, it means something totally different.
Deshaun Watson fan over there.
Yeah, I just is it one S or two S? I don't know. Because autocorrect isn't going to help me there. I am very passionate about sports.
Do not go through another holiday season
entertainment lead from QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine, and their unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target those aching joints. They repair and restore damaged tissue so you can get back to life as normal. Enjoy your time with your family and friends this holiday season, pain-free. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. If you are dealing with joint pain, before you say yes to an operation or more steroids or pain pills, call QC Kinetics and take advantage of their life-changing all-natural treatments. And it's a great time to use those FSA funds before they expire. So don't wait. Call today. It is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available right now. Give yourself the best gift imaginable and go pain-free. Call them. QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. In Greenville and Asheville, 864-448-3772.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. This holiday season, invest in some LED Christmas lights. LEDs last years longer than regular lights, which means less electronic waste.
I will tell you this, Josh. I will wear black for a year and then bust out the tie-dye just so I'll stand out. That's just, one thing I do sometimes. And Rob was so positive on yesterday that I had to bring out the Power of Positivity t-shirt today because I wasn't feeling it the way he was, and I needed that
It was
jolt.
weird, man.
I needed that extra. So
It's been weird on the pod the last week.
am I the only one that when Xavier Woods makes a tackle for the Panthers goes New Day?
Yes, it is.
I just every time. I can't help it.
I did a pretty good Charlotte on the show yesterday. Felt good about it.
We'll be discussing the New Day and the Fight Club coming up because big news for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Rashad Beard back in the mix. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me okay?
How was the Thanksgiving, partner?
It's good, man. It's
Good
good.
to hear it.
You said that was the Saints game.
I know.
What are you doing?
You
Rashad's in your head already.
No,
should ask that already. You should ask yourself that.
Let me ask you a question. Because you've been here, and we'd be lying to say we haven't both been here.
All right, hurry.
What do you do when your team straight up embarrasses you? Not loses, but straight up embarrassed. Just quits. Like, do you have like a 2-3 day period where you're like, I'm not doing this?
Yeah, it sucks. I've been there.
Okay.
And I enjoy seeing you in it.
I was about to say I'm glad to have Rashad Beard back on the show. And then Rashad's like, sucks to be you, Rob, and I like it. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, Rashad. Good to have you back, buddy.
Hey, good to be back. Good to be back.
And then he opens his return to the show with a maniacal Bond villain laugh to start us off.
All right. Before I jump out, which I do, I am not apologizing.
Sir.
Rashad asked for an apology. I'm not apologizing. Did you cheer for the Panthers when Jimmy Clausen was the quarterback? If it's your team, you're probably cheering for the guy. So no, I'm not apologizing about Baker Mayfield. I'm not doing it.
Both of you owe me an apology, because if I recall correctly, we came up here and when Baker Mayfield was signed, you guys tried to tell us, you got on your platform and you tried to tell us that Baker Mayfield was the guy. He was the man. He's going to turn this thing around. He's going to be the starter. And what happens? He gets released. And I also told you all, I recall this vividly. I said that if you put Sam Darnold on that Browns team where Baker was, you're going to have about the same success. I said that. It's all true. Baker he's not the guy. He is a guy, just a guy. And if you need that much around you, you're not the man. He needs an offensive line. He needs a run game. He needs all that he had in Cleveland to be successful. And I told you guys he wasn't going to have that here.
All right. You know, I had a bunch of questions and stuff I was ready to talk about, but we just going to do this for like 15 minutes, Rashad. I know how this goes. All right. So, a couple of things. Number one, I blame Matt Rule for everything. All right. I stubbed my toe this morning. I blame Matt Rule. The milk in my fridge got spoiled. I blame Matt Rule. All right. My microphone was broke when I came in the building. I had to fix it. I blame Matt Rule. I blame everything on Matt Rule. And let's set a baseline here, because Lonzo and I have kind of been back and forth on this a little bit the last week. Do you agree or disagree that it looks, and it's superficial, but it looks like this team has a different mentality, has a different attitude pre and post the departure of Matt Rule? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So take it.
Yeah, they've decided to run the ball. That's the only difference.
Fine. Whatever the
You
cause.
you want to show me a difference? Win an away game.
Whatever the cause of the shift in attitude, this team's had a shift in attitude, and I think we can see that on the field, right? So you send Matt Rule away. Steve Wilkes decides to give P.J. Walker a chance. P.J. has an okay game, a trash game, a game he gets replaced at halftime, and Baker does come in and tear it up. Now, granted, you were down 35 at that point, so Cincinnati backed off a little bit, but he still came in and tore it up. And then you go back to P.J. Walker. Post Matt Rule, Baker didn't get a chance to show what he would do in the new look Panther offense. I'm not saying the Panthers were wrong for giving him release. I am saying that making the switch and sticking with PJ, when PJ, with all due respect, because the kid's got the heart, and I respect that, and I like the guy, but he ain't good. You made the switch. You gave him a second chance. It didn't go good again. You get Baker one crack, and by the way, in a game where you ditched the identity that worked, you gave him one more crack at it, and then you jettisoned him. I'm not saying it was the wrong move, Rashad. I'm saying you can't definitively tell me that with the new look, running the ball with Deontay Foreman behind an offensive line that gelled over the past 5-6 weeks, I'm not willing to say he could not have done it. That's all I'm saying.
So, and I know we talk about the Ravens game and the game plan change. Well, yeah, it has to change when you're playing a pretty stout run defense. You can't go out there and dictate the run against the Ravens. So obviously the game plan is gonna change a little bit, and you can't go out there and run it 40 times. I will give him credit, and again, post Matt Rule is different. He had one good quarter against the Cleveland Browns, the opening game, where he looked amazing. That fourth quarter against the Browns, Baker looked good. He looked solid. But again, you guys are correct in that he didn't have an opportunity in a game to show off his talent and prove that he's a guy. But that's not the only place where you can show you're the man. It's called practices. You got to practice well. You got to be well throughout the entire week in order to get the starting job. If you can't, and you just called P.J. Walker not a good quarterback, if you can't pull the starting job away from him, then something isn't right.
Lonzo has been, I'm not, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Lonzo has said, and I agree with him, that he felt, and there's two factors to this. Number one, what was Steve Wilkes' attitude towards Baker Mayfield? Because it felt kind of cold, but that's again superficial, like looking at the surface. And number two, I absolutely think there was an emphasis on we're only going to let Baker hit that 70% mark if he is that dude, definitively is that dude while we're in the playoff race. You never gave him a chance to be that dude, and you didn't give him a chance to be that dude so that you didn't risk him hitting the 70% mark, but you weren't going to hit the 70% mark unless you got a chance. Like, you just kind of worked yourself into a circle where it could not have worked out. And I understand why, especially if you're going to make a push for an NFC South title, which is still very much in reach. You're going to need a little help over the next few weeks, but the playoffs are in reach. And you now know that if you're going to make a run to the playoffs, you're not getting the top 1, 2, 3, or 4 draft spots, which means that the two quarterbacks in Stroud and Young that are likely the guys that are going to be successful, because I think a lot of us have given up on Will Levis out of Kentucky. If you're not going to have one of those picks, it is going to mean taking and packaging a few of those 7 other picks you have to bump way up in the first round, which means that the difference in a 4th or a 5th rounder that you've given to Cleveland for Baker becomes that much more important. I just kind of feel Baker was a victim of circumstance. He did not ever come out there and own the game, but between Rule, Wilkes' feelings for him, the value of Cleveland's draft pick, and the fact that they're making a playoff run, I think Baker to some degree kind of became a victim of circumstance.
No, I agree with you, but the fact that we're making that playoff run without Baker being the starter is it's just
yeah, but dude, you're doing that with Dante and the defense, not the quarterback.
But exactly, right? So he's got the support, right? And it's not telling to you that Steve Wilkes, a guy who coached him, well, not coached him, but was on the same staff as him in Cleveland, right? Isn't that they have prior relationship? They didn't come to Carolina, just.
By the way, I'm glad you said that, because I think that plays into this. I do. I think there might be a little bit of beef between the two. And I also want to point out that Steve Wilkes seems like the kind of guy, the quarterback needs to do what I tell them to do. No improvisation, no audibling out of things. The other two guys do exactly what he tells them to do. And Baker, well, really? How many times? How many times?
They've won. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, again,
they win when Foreman hits the hundo mark.
Hey,
right?
It is what it is. And
we'll see. We'll see. And I hope you're right. No, I hope you're right. I hope the Panthers win the rest of the games, and they have the potential to do that with as weak as the South is. I still am worried about Detroit, but
agreed.
As weak as the South is, they've got a good shot at winning this. But I still think there's a little vendetta there because Baker doesn't do what he's told to do when he goes out on the field.
Hey, well, that's going to get you. It's not going to get you. You're not going to be very successful. Just improv. It hasn't worked for you. You may want to try something else.
Well, you know what? It does work. It works for some guys. It does. There are some guys that go out there and do their thing.
Though.
Apparently he's not.
I will agree with Rashad. He ain't Lamar. He ain't Lamar. He ain't, well, I was gonna say Russ, but LOL. Nope. All right, let's get a couple more things in here. We got Rashad Beardhost.
Just so we're clear, you guys aren't apologizing.
No, because I told you.
No. We're not apologizing.
My dude was a victim of circumstance. Listen, Rashad, I will give you this. All right, let's meet in the middle. All right, let's find some neutral ground here. Let's meet in the middle. Baker, even when Matt Rule was there, still could have done more, right? There were a lot of bad throws, a lot of over-under throws, a lot of questionable decisions. I think there was more he could have done. And he could have absolutely said, I can be a quarterback even when the head coach is bad, right? Even when McAdoo's bad, even when Rule's bad, I can still be that dude. And then he even got a chance and a half tops, but a chance and a half when Wilkes came in, and it didn't really stand out, right? Like, it wasn't like he came in and blew everybody away. But at the same time, I don't really feel like they ever said under the Steve Wilkes era of the last handful of weeks, like, let's give Baker a chance to prove that he's this dude. And I think it's because of the draft picks, and I think it's because of the way that Wilkes and Baker have their relationship looking like before they got here. All I'm saying, Baker never grabbed it by the throat and said, this is mine, whether you like it or not. But I also think his chances to do that were kind of limited. Do we meet in the middle on that?
I agree.
I love it. Look at us. We're solving the world's problems one at a time. All right, Rashad, let's talk about D'Onta Foreman. Missed practice yesterday, got a foot. If D'Onta Foreman is available for Seattle and gets to a hundo, they win. If he is unavailable, the Panthers drastically drop off in the percentage chance they win this game against Seattle. False or true?
I think true. If you look at the opponents coming up, they're not very good against the run. Seattle's like ranked 29th or something. They're not good against the run at all. So we need D'Onta Foreman to ice up and do whatever he needs to do to become healthy, and so that he can be his best on Sunday, because we're going to need to lean on that run game away when you're away and you're playing on the road in the cold. You need to have to be able to run the football. In these times in December, running the football matters. I know we get in this thing where this is a passing league, but the Panthers have been successful when we can run the ball. And I feel like Foreman over this last stretch, you've only got one team which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, that are solid against the run. Everybody else is ranked 20 something against the run. So we have a really good opportunity to force the hand on the ground, put it in Foreman's hands, let us carry us to victory like he's been doing over the past couple of weeks. All of our victories, like you said, he's running the football 100 plus. So we need that to continue.
The Buccaneers somehow, nope, scratch that. I was going to say somehow. The Buccaneers get a game gift wrapped. The Saints, in the spirit of Christmas, just hand them a win they had no right to get on Monday night. But it does create a situation where the Panthers got a little bit deeper of a hole to dig out of, Rashad. But Tampa's got San Francisco coming up. Even without Jimmy G, as bad as the Bucs played against the Saints, they can lose that game. Then they got the Bengals, a losable game. They got the Cardinals, a losable game. There's the potential for the Bucs to go 0-3, 1-2 before Carolina squares up with them. How important is it for Carolina to make sure that they knock off Seattle, they knock off Detroit, that they carry momentum into that game? Because I got to tell you, and we talked about this on our pod, there's a chance the NFC South is tied, or that Carolina actually has a divisional lead in that game if you win out and the Buccaneers lose out between here and there.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think you hit it right on the head. Momentum, right? We didn't win an outside division game until recently, right? So we needed that victory. Now it's the time to get that road win, because Lonzo is right. We need to win on the road. That's important. You have to win on the road now. So now we have to continue checking boxes. You know, we've won the games in the division. We beat all 3 division opponents. We've won outside division. Now it's time to win on the road. And beating Seattle is going to be a huge momentum boost. It's going to take us in. And again, not just the Bucs, right? It's the other squads in the NFC South too. They all have tough matchups, right? Everybody in the NFC South has a pretty tough road, except for the Carolina Panthers on paper, right? You have to play the games. But on paper, we have the easiest schedule remaining. So we got to take care of business. These are winnable games. I don't think there's an unwinnable game remaining on our schedule. We have to go out there and take care of business, and that starts Sunday.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. 30-second answer. What's a win over Seattle look like for the Panthers Sunday?
Like you said, we got to get 150 plus on the ground. Get it done on the ground, man. By any means necessary, get it done. And you got to slow down Geno. Obviously, we have a pretty good defense. We got to get after him. He's playing really good football right now. They're really efficient through the air. Shut down their receivers as best you can. Line up Horn versus DK and let the best man win. And I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's winnable, but I think you got to slow down Geno and win on the ground.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Find them on YouTube. Make sure you search and subscribe. If you are a Panther fan, it is can't miss content. Shad, good to have you back, big dog. I don't apologize, but I'm glad you're here anyway, my guy.
Maybe I'll give my apology next week. Well, after Baker plays in LA, we'll see.
We'll see. Watch Baker go tear it up. I'm calling it. Baker to the Pro Bowl in 4 weeks with the Rams. No, it ain't happening. Rashad, talk to you next week, my guy.
All right, guys.
Later on. That is Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Again, make sure you find them on YouTube. Let's take a break. Come back. Let's get to hour number 2. An MLB scandal breaking last night. I'm not being facetious. I'm not exaggerating. This one is a problem for Rob Manfred. I'll tell you what it is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Wake up with a morning jolt of in-depth sports analysis and discussion every weekday at 6 on the DA Show. Only on the Fan Upstate.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I've been around the real estate game for many years. My dad was a real estate agent when I was growing up, and he taught me a lot of rules of real estate. One of them that I have seen broken, because sometimes people just do not have the best information available, is when you're going to sell your home, you want to sell it for the most money possible, obviously. And in order to accomplish that, you need the expertise of an Allen Tate realtor in your corner. In today's low inventory market, homes in good condition attract multiple buyers. And with multiple buyers comes multiple offers, sometimes within days of listing. And when buyers compete, you sell your home for more money. So when you are ready to sell, do not settle for one offer when you can choose your best offer. Choose the Carolinas' #1 real estate company, Allen Tate. Reach out to them now. You can find them.
All right, stream, where you guys at? It's quiet in here today, man. It's quiet in here.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. UpstateLights.com.
You need to know what's happening. It's time to get in the huddle.
This jam with Steve Keim out there in the desert. I mean, it's like no accountability. Never my fault. It's never his fault. Stuff just happens. Losses just fall from the sky. It's not Cliff's fault. It's not Kyle's fault. It's not my fault. It's not Peter's fault. We just have really bad luck. Just hang in there and keep throwing money at us and we'll figure it out. Shout out.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here. When a part of your offense isn't firing on all cylinders, it shows. And sometimes the only solution is to replace that part with something new. It's true on a championship team, and it's also true with cars. That's why I love eBay Motors. They have all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them, by the way. And that way you can get the parts that you need to make your car a winner. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
At the United States Postal Service, we're here to deliver fast and reliable service to help you get holiday ready. We offer free package pickup and deliver free shipping supplies to your address. So whether you're in Garland, Texas, Rudolph, Wisconsin, or anywhere in between, we're making it easier for you to spread festive cheer this holiday season. USPS, delivering for America.
Do freckles fade away?
Including info about free shipping supplies, free package pickup.
I think it depends on if it's a light dusting or if you look like a pumpkin growing up. I mean, there's a difference.
Huh. I guess they do it like as you get older.
Sheets involved as far as to the win, so they're going to fight over the title ball. And as far as the Gamecocks go, the only ones making a big deal about this logo change are actually Clemson fans. Still stuck on the sheets.
There are sheets involved.
Hey man, I don't know.
That's my favorite thing that happened today. There are sheets involved. Next time I'm having a whiskey in the house, I'm going to text Lonzo. There are sheets involved.
Same great show, new time.
The Rob Brown Show.
Now 19 only on the
Why are you asking about freckles? Did you like have them and now they're gone and you want to know where they went?
Because I'm reading through the texts that are coming into that other show, and apparently they're talking about people going through puberty. And a lady texted and said, I had buck teeth and a ton of freckles when I was a kid, and then I got braces and my freckles faded, and now all the boys are coming after me because my freckles faded. I was like, did freckles fade?
I had freckles. I think when I'm pretty sure I had freckles. It was like I said, it was a light dusting when I was a little kid. My sister had them too, and they're gone.
Yeah.
So. Do you think freckles are ugly?
Not at all.
I'm all right with freckles.
Our numeros of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you. I'm Rob, the great one Lonzo, He's getting hype over there. Fight Club coming your way in just a little bit over an hour. You're home for all things combat sports in the upstate. And as far as I know, the only sports talk radio show in the area that talks boxing, UFC, MMA, professional wrestling, and more. And you, ladies and gentlemen, you are quite welcome for that. Lonzo's got Fight Club for you coming up in a little bit over an hour. Make sure you're here for that. But before we get there, let me get to this. Major League Baseball. Hot stove going on right now as we're starting to see free agents make their moves around. Aaron Judge re-ups with the Yankees 9 years for plus $300 million. He can buy a boat now. He's very rich. Carlos Correa's got a new deal. Justin Verlander's back in the NL East. Yay. There's a lot going on.
You have to explain to me later about the boat thing, because I was just like,
he's got a lot of money and he can buy a boat. It's
okay,
literally what
that's
I said.
what you do when you get a lot of money.
You buy a boat.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
100%, man.
I hope to get a boat someday.
Boats are good. They're also expensive. Got to be rich to have a boat. And Aaron Judge is quite wealthy now. Blah, 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 blah. What would Major League Baseball do if they did not interrupt the biggest period of off-season discussion that they can have? This is peak off-season for Major League Baseball. This is the point in the off-season where we talk the most about baseball. We're talking players making moves. We're talking teams making decisions. We got free agency buzz. The Red Sox just put $105 million into Masataka Yoshida, one of the biggest Japanese stars out there right now. Xavier Bogaerts has left Boston, now playing for the San Diego Fathers for $280 million. The Atlanta Braves make a move. They bring in ex-All-Star reliever Joe Jimenez from Detroit. There's lots of stuff that we should be talking about right now. By the way, Lonzo, Major League Baseball has an Excellence in Baseball Broadcasting Award. It's called the Frick Award.
As in what the?
Yeah, as in what the frick?
Okay. All right.
I'm
guessing it's named after a person.
It is. It's named after Ford C. Frick. It is the Hall of Fame Ford C. Frick Award for Excellence in Baseball Broadcasting. And now I want to cater my career towards baseball, Lonzo, because I want to say, frick yeah! I am a Frick Award winner. I'll let you make the rest of the jokes in your head.
Yeah, because I'm stopping myself. I'm still worried that, there'll be a slip over there and I'll have to push that, so.
I'm a professional. I am Frick caliber. They're going to be like, Rob, how good are you? I'm going to be like, frickin' good. I'm good as frick. All right, I'll stop. Lonzo's getting antsy. Anyway, the Frick Award. I'm just going to say I'm good as frick for the rest of the day.
Are you though?
In and out of every
Are
segment.
you though? Because you don't have an award named after you. So.
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
I just want to win the award named after Frick. After Ford Frick. When I win that award, the next day I'm going to be like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rob Brown Show. It's frickin' good. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Anyway.
I'm waiting on the scandal, and all I'm getting is this. But I'm enjoying it. But still, and I'm very concerned.
Don't you want to know what the frick?
Yes, I do.
There you go. This segment might set me up for a frick in award. All right. So baseball has the most interest in it it's going to get at any point where baseball isn't actively being played in the regular or postseason. And what is the conversation that we're having today instead of free agency? Instead of $280 and $300 million decade-long deals being signed? Instead, we are talking about Dr. Meredith Wills, an astrophysicist. Why? Because A, science is awesome, and B, science just caught baseball in a lie. Shocking, I know. Dr. Meredith Wills is an astrophysicist who...
Is she in Houston?
It's a good question.
I'm just curious.
Let's see where Dr. Meredith Wills is. Dr. Meredith Wills is an astrophysicist and PhD data scientist. She does not have where she studies in her Twitter profile. I'll find it because I'm curious as well. But her Twitter handle does say that she is an astrophysicist. So obviously, she definitely is.
She's not a Reddit astrophysicist, is she?
No, she's an actual physicist. She's a member of the ABD Society, Lonzo.
Is that like a step above Mensa?
I don't know, but she's in it. Says something, right? All right, let me get to the story. You guys are getting over it. I know. Dr. Meredith Wills is an astrophysicist who took an interest a few years ago when Major League Baseball was having its scandal about the juiced baseballs. Remember? We got to a point where the players stopped being juiced, and then they were still hitting massive dingers. Everybody was like, what? How? Dr. Meredith Wills was the one who discovered the original juiced baseball. Well, Rob Manfred and co., this may shock you, did not learn their lesson. Dr. Meredith Wills took 204 baseballs that were sent to her by fans who caught them at various games around the league over the course of the 2022 season, and she did some experiments on them. She decided to dissect the baseballs, study the materials of the baseballs, study the chemical makeup of the nerd stuff. Nerd stuff. And in the nerd stuff, Lonzo, she found out that in the 2022 Major League Baseball season, according to her research, take it as you will, Major League Baseball actually used 3 different types of baseballs. Now, Rawlings makes the baseballs for Major League Baseball. Do you know who owns Rawlings? Major League Baseball. They are quite literally in control of making their own baseball. Dr. Wills said that she found 3 types of baseballs that were used during the 2022 season. She found the ball that has been referred to as by fans as the dead ball. That is the ball that has the least spring to it. That was the ball that Major League Baseball said would be exclusively used in the 2022 season. But she also found that baseball definitely had a juiced ball that they used. Rarely. Put that in the back pocket because I'm coming to that. She also found a 3rd type of ball, which she dubbed the Goldilocks ball. Why? Because the specifications of that baseball were halfway between the dead ball baseball promised it would be used and the juiced ball that were used in very limited circumstances. Every ball obtained by Dr. Wills did meet MLB's manufacturing specifications. The problem is that those specifications have such a wide range to them that baseball was able to say, we're going to use this ball. It's a dead ball. We've taken the juice out of it, but then still make juiced balls and create those juice balls in a way that they said, even though we're not going to use the juice balls, they're still legally made and put into play.
There's some dude, he makes minimum wage, comes to work every day, does things the same way, and someone forgot to tell him to not make the juiced balls. It's that dude's fault.
Maybe. except for Lonzo. Remember how a minute ago I said that there were juice balls, but Dr. Wills found them only in limited circumstances? And I told you lock that away because we're coming back to it. Here we are. The overwhelming majority of balls tested by Dr. Wills from the 22 season did turn out to be the dead ball, which is the ball Manfred said would be the sole ball used this season. The Goldilocks balls, which got a little bit more spring to them than the regular ball, were, Dr. Wills found, mostly used in special instances. The World Series, the postseason, all-star events, and when the league used commemorative stamps on balls. So when they did like Hank Aaron Day or Jackie Robinson Day and they stamped the ball, they used the Goldilocks ball. Basically, though, they used the ball that had a little bit more spring to it when they knew more eyes were going to be tuned into the program.
So wait. So when they knew people were watching, they wanted more home runs. So they used those balls then?
Oh, but it gets better. It gets even better. It gets even better. Dr. Wills did find other instances of the Goldilocks ball being used in the regular season. And Lonzo, all of them came from New York Yankees games. So they used them in the All-Star game. They used them on commemorative days. They used them in the postseason in the World Series. That one gets by goat a little bit. In the regular season, according to Dr. Wills, they used the Goldilocks ball primarily in Yankees games. And those Goldilocks balls did not have the commemorative stamp on them. That would mean that if what Dr. Wills is saying is true, she apparently did provide her, she did show the math, that Major League Baseball, as the New York Yankees were getting heated up in the regular season, and as Aaron Judge was chasing down the single season American League home run record, baseball was putting the more juiced balls into play in Yankees games specifically. Not primarily, specifically. That would mean, though, this is where it gets interesting. That would mean that by definition, and I don't think I'm playing semantics here, would I not be able to accuse Major League Baseball of rigging Yankees games? If they had this one particular ball that had more pop to it, had more juice to it, had more bounce to it, and they selectively picked one team and put that ball into play in the regular season only for that team, could I not accuse Major League Baseball of rigging games in favor of the New York Yankees? Granted, both teams would have used the ball when they played the Yankees, but the Yankees would have gotten to use the ball every game.
Didn't someone just get a major contract? Get paid a lot of money?
That would be Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees.
Oh, okay.
Who signed, of course, with
the New York Yankees.
The New York Yankees.
Yeah.
That's exactly correct. Now, Major
By
League
the way,
Baseball.
I don't think he needs an advantage, but anyway.
I don't either. But again, if Aaron Judge has 3 baseballs, Alonzo, that clear the fence by an inch, that gives him the record.
But who knows about? Do the teams themselves know that they're getting the juice balls?
That's the question, because Major League Baseball has already issued a denial. Major League Baseball put out a memo that said that Dr. Wills' conclusions are, quote, wholly inaccurate and just plain wrong, end quote. Rawlings said that there was no third ball used in 2022 and that the previous used juiced ball was taken out of circulation before the 2022 season. That being said, keep in mind that Major League Baseball has already fought back against research suggesting that a livelier ball was used in the 2019 season. And after there was some pushback, Rob Manfred came out and said, oh, well, actually, what happened was that there was a difference in manufacturing the baseball, and these balls had less drag. Remember, the pitchers were mad because the seams on the baseball were decreased a little bit, and they said it took some of their grip off of the ball, made it harder to throw breaking balls and whatnot. And Rob Manfred came out and was like, no. Actually, what happened was we changed the way we manufacture the baseball, and that was an unfortunate byproduct. And it's like, that's the same thing. Dude, if the ball doesn't bounce as much, but it has a smaller drag coefficient on it, it's still going to go further. The reason of why it goes further doesn't matter. It's still going to go further.
They can solve this whole thing by allowing all these steroid players to be in the Hall of Fame, because they've just said that cheating's okay. Or is it, just select cheating? So if we're cheating, it's all right. If they're cheating, no, that's not, no.
And that's kind of the interesting part to me, right? The interesting part is if Dr. Wills is correct, and again, she brought her receipts to the table. We'll see if anybody puts in any more research to find something else. But if her math is
what if
good,
we found out that Pete Rose actually funded all her studies?
If they find out that the juice balls were being used and the Yankees and Aaron Judge were getting the benefit of the ball when every other team was not. She said she only found the Goldilocks ball in special event games and Yankees games. Not Yankees and a few other teams, just Yankees games. Rob Manfred said in 2019, the ball wasn't juiced. They found out that it had a smaller drag coefficient. That year, there were 6,776 home runs hit, shattered the all-time record for home runs hit in a season league-wide. Manfred came out later and was like, turns out, yeah, the balls did go further, but it was a total accident. Manfred has attempted to correct the issue since then. Evidence suggests that two different balls were used in 2021. They said no. MLB later confirmed that. The league said the balls were used as a result of production delays stemming from COVID, the pandemic, the shutdown, the lockdown. How is it that this is now the third time in 4 years that an egghead, by the way, I love me some eggheads. I love me some science, baby. Science makes the world go round. It doesn't. It explains how and why the world goes around, but you get it. I love me a nerd, all right? Love me a nerd. The nerds have come once again with receipts and once again said, hey, baseball was rigging the game. They were allowing Aaron Judge and the Yankees, intentionally or not, known or not, although I find it hard to believe that maybe the Yankees didn't know, right? Because Major League Baseball would ship them the baseballs. Here's your game's baseballs for this game. Known or not to the Yankees, Major League Baseball.
He's your special shipment over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, George Steinbrenner, maybe down at the docks, 2:30 a.m., come alone. Don't come alone. We're going to have a special conversation. Aaron, listen. The Bronx, baby. We love our dingers. You know what I mean? We love some homers from the Yanks in the Bronx. Now, should a certain cardboard box happen to show up outside your locker before you play the Mariners this weekend, consider it a little gift from Don. Yeah. Don Manfred sends his regards. Little cardboard box. It's a gift just for you. Let's just say, if you happen to tell anybody else, it would be unfortunate. Might be a little accident. Maybe one of them bats you take up to the plate suddenly accidentally falls against your kneecap. My associate Guido over here, he would hate to have a special conversation with you after the game. You know what I mean? So let's just say Don Manfred, he's got you in high regards. All right? He got you a little gift. Take good care of it. Don't tell nobody. Because if you tell somebody, there might be a little problem. We don't want no problems. All right? We just want the Bronx Bombers to get some wins. We would love for you to sign a 9-year, $300 million contract. I know that the Giants offered you more money. But I'm just saying, maybe every now and then, a brown paper bag shows up in the locker. You open it, you find a little cash. I feel like that's Emmy award winning right there, right?
I was in the moment, man.
I feel like that was Emmy award winning.
So good. It may be true. I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
We cannot say that it is not true, for the record. Anyway, Rob Manfred has said 3 times we didn't use juice balls. 3 times has found out that is Lonzo, what's the word when you say something that's not true, but you know that it is true?
That would be a lie, Rob.
I knew that one. All right, couple of texts on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. Texture says, FAN, Major League Baseball is like, hey, nothing to see here. Move along. And Vegas has influence on sports decisions and policies as well. Tell you this, if you put down a few hundo on Aaron Judge plus 61 home runs in the season, you're feeling pretty good about Don Manfred. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Texture says, of course the Yankees used the juice balls. I mean, like, this story only gets this good if it is the Yankees using the juice balls, right?
I mean, they're thinking they already hate us. Why not?
Yeah. How big is this story if it's like the Texas Rangers use juice balls? You're like, hey, and they didn't do anything with it, right? They didn't impact the game that much. They still suck. But the Yankees made a run. Texas says, Dr. Wills went to Montana State and Harvard. She's a Harvard astrophysicist. How do you like them apples? Texas said, I would have went with bull boat, but a lie is acceptable. And for the record, he actually wrote the words bull boat. I'm not censoring that. That's how that text came in. Changing the culture of the upstate. One boatload at a time.
Armada repping.
Yes, indeed. Mike B texted in and says, you guys are killing it this morning. Keep up the great segment. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break. I'm just saying, maybe don't touch your radio dial. You touch the radio dial, something happens to your fingers. It would be an unfortunate circumstance. So, just stick around. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Maybe we'll talk some football. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. There's only one way to find out. That's Don Zoe. I'm Don Rob. We're back right after this on the tickets, on the Fan Upstate. I forgot what radio station I work for. I got so many fingers and so many pies. You know what I'm saying? It's the Fan Upstate. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
See.
I'm sorry I'm so dumb, everyone. We'll be right back.
We'll always
All right, we back.
behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is
Bam, bam, now.
With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free.
If I was to say, this is for everybody listening, Zoe included. If I was to say the line, "Excuse me while I whip this out," would you know what that's from?
Come on, man.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier, and I said that line, and a buddy of mine was like, "Nobody gets that reference," and I'm like, "How?" Like, I'm sure a lot of people don't get that reference because of the movie.
I would say Howard Johnson is right.
Sheriff
I would
Howard
say,
Johnson
yeah, but this is my shooting hand.
and the Frisco Kid.
I would say, excuse me, Mr. Taggart, can me and the boys have some more beans?
Mongo sad.
Mongo just pawned in Game of Life.
All right, I gotta have a non-sports discussion for like 4 minutes. All right. Damn, slapping a bass. Is that how you play bass?
Can't play.
All right. So
And it fits perfectly on my pecs.
there is a discussion taking place on Twitter right now, and I've seen this discussion take place in the past, and it's always kind of made me laugh a little bit because I think it's a silly discussion, but there's a discussion going on right now calling for, I believe Lonzo would refer to it as the cancellation of the movie Blazing Saddles, the Mel Brooks classic. Blazing Saddles is in Rob Brown's top 3 movies of all time. I can watch that movie, Tombstone, and the original Jurassic Park are the top 3 movies of Rob Brown's life. All right. I got a Western, and I don't know, would you call Jurassic Park an action adventure? I would.
Sci-fi thriller. I don't know, because there's
kind of hits all the genres.
Yeah, there's science involved and monsters.
Yeah.
Technically, I don't.
You hit all the genres with JP. And then Blazing Saddles is probably my favorite comedy movie of all time. All right. There's never been a point where I've watched Blazing Saddles. If I'm flipping channels and I come across any of those 3 movies, I'm watching it. No matter where I pick up in the movie, I'm watching it. And somebody said that Blazing Saddles is racist. Which I was like,
It's the opposite
It's
of
the
that.
opposite,
It's
yes.
the exact opposite of it. It takes tropes and things that, and the star, I think it's Cleavon Little, if I remember right. I always forget his name, but he's the guy. He breaks the fourth wall. He does so many things. It's amazing going up against that, and he plays all the racists in
Tropes, perfect.
he plays them
Yeah.
the entire time and uses their racism against
Yeah.
them to his advantage
and
laughs about it the whole time.
his relationship with
Gene Wilder.
my favorite Gene Wilder character, the Frisco Kid,
Yes.
is incredible.
He's got a little bit of a drinking problem now.
It's incredible, right? Love this movie. So we were having this conversation. A buddy of mine and I were having this conversation at the hockey game last night, and I said, "Excuse me while I whip this out."
And every time anyone says that, you hear a scream in the background.
Yep.
If you know the movie, you
Yep.
can't help but hear it.
And they said, "Rob, nobody gets that reference anymore." Nobody understands that reference.
I'm hearing Madeline Kahn singing in my head right now about being tired.
Lily Von Stoop. I'm tired. So very tired. Love this movie. So I said nobody understands that reference. I probably get if the younger generation doesn't get that movie, because let's be real, Blazing Saddles was old when I became a teenager, right? So I understand if kids born, post 2000 don't get Blazing Saddles or don't know Blazing Saddles. But Mel Brooks could still make a movie like that today, and it would go over like wildfire, right? But the problem is,
except he's like 100, so it'll be
aside from Mel Brooks being 100, the problem is that people that try their hands at these satirical movies, they ain't Mel Brooks, right? The great part about that movie is that it is so not heavy-handed in the way that it attacks the social issues that it attacks. That's what makes it so great.
But all right, it counts.
I'm kicking your butt this week.
Yeah, you are. I was going to say, but he kind of does that in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
This one being the one that he does it the most. But I mean, there are little things like that in Men in Tights and History of the World. Yeah, I mean, so
Spaceballs does it, and that movie's ridiculous as hell, and I love it. Wait, that's not the script. Let me see that. I don't accept that we couldn't make a Blazing Saddles today. I just think the problem is that the entertainment industry has gone so far down this formulatic way of making movies that they don't understand the nuances and the idiosyncrasies that made Blazing Saddles as good as it was. The closing sequence of Blazing Saddles when they're going through Hollywood with that gigantic fight is one of my favorite scenes of all times. Because it just hits every trope about
such amazing
Hollywood.
Stunts with such little feet.
Like, I don't, people don't get it. Like, it's because it's not heavy-handed that it works. And I tie this back to a conversation I opened the show with about the concept of well put together production in a project, right? Like hockey with their digital video boards have made hockey that much more difficult to enjoy. It's like, you guys don't understand. Like, you think that taking money from Enterprise Rent-A-Car is the right way to move the sport forward. And I'm not blaming Enterprise. I'm blaming the NHL on this. I'm blaming the TV companies on this. But you guys think that money to have that digital car zooming around the boards, it takes away from the game. And if you take away from it too much, I'm going to quit watching. Mel Brooks got away with Blazing Saddles, not because it was like revolutionary, but because he was so adept at pointing out these issues, these tropes brought about by racism, and making them hilarious by using them against the people committing them in the movie. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I hear that and I'm like, Mongo's sad.
All right. I don't know if this is really breaking news. I don't know if this is really breaking news, but I think you'll enjoy this. According to Ian Rappaport, the Falcons are looking to the future, making a quarterback switch to rookie Desmond Ridder as the starter.
I want to
thank you, Falcons. Thank you. On behalf of the Panthers, thank you.
I want to show you something here, Zoe. I don't think I've ever done this before. I'm actually going to share my show prep to the screen for just a second. I don't really ever do this before. I don't know if you can see it, but I have on the screen here a sentence highlighted on my show prep, right? Can you read it? Can you see what it says?
That was what, man.
Two in the same segment.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to show up on the big screen.
It says, ATL fans, is it Desmond Ridder time? That was the question.
Look at you. You're some sort
hour.
of soothsayer.
That was the question in the next hour I was going to ask Falcons fans.
It's that
Is it time
voodoo.
to make the switch to Desmond Ridder? And looks like it's happening. Damn, I'm good at this sometimes, man. I'll tell you that. James said, morons. Tell you this before I go to break.
Thank you, Kevin. I feel better about that. I would formatted for mice. I was going to have to grab my glasses, and yes, I wear them, but all the distances, all these are perfect, so I don't need them, but I need it for that.
What is this, show prep for ants? Tell you this, I'm going to take a break. Since you broke the glass, and we have a reason we break the glass for breaking news.
Yeah, and someone sponsors that.
Dude, BetQL, our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with our friends at BetQL. I was telling you earlier that I do the in-arena hosting for the Swamp Rabbits. Like at their game, whenever they have crowd hype and whatever, they put the camera on me and I hype up the crowd and all that.
Without a microphone.
The guy that runs the music in the arenas, though, his name's Nikon. Great dude, right? Name's Nikon. It's not his name.
I was going to say, is that a handle? Okay,
His
all right.
name is Nikon.
Okay.
Checks into the show every now and then, knows we're wrestling dudes. So now when we go to the second intermission, we do our chuck-a-puck, right? So I go out on the ice and I like yell at people, whatever. When I walk out onto the ice, when the ZAM doors open and I walk through, because I'm always the first person through, he has started playing wrestling theme songs for me as I walk out onto the ice. He dropped a stone cold intro on me last night. The ZAM tunnel opened, the glass broke, I walk out, and I could not help but hit the McMahon strut on the way to center ice.
Well, yeah, but you can't throw the McMahon strut out unless No Chance is playing. I mean,
that's Saturday night.
Okay, there we go.
That's Saturday night.
But you got to do the full on. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hitting the strut to center ice Saturday night to No Chance. That's what you got. All right, let's take a break. We come back. Kevin said, did the Bills defense show they can be great without Von Miller, or is the Patriots that bad? Von Miller out for the season is absolutely a problem for the Bills defense. But also the Patriots aren't that good. It's both, Kev. It's both. Let's take a break. We'll come back up and wrap up hour number 2. Texas said he did make the movie, Rob, or did remake the movie, Rob. This might be, and it's on Paramount, and it's called Paws of Fury. It's the exact same line, but it's a cartoon. It's about a dog going to be a sheriff in a cat town. Mel Brooks made that? Because it's all watching. 100%. Take a break. Back after this to wrap up hour 2 on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
I'm a little wounded that you asked me about Blazing Saddles. There's hardly any 70s to 80s movie that I cannot quote quite a bit. I can't remember people's names, but I remember lyrics and I remember movies. My cousins and I would go around quoting that all the time, just out of the blue. Especially in the most serious situations where you should not do that.
It's got to be. I'm trying to think of what my most quoted movies would be. That's got to be towards the top of my list. Zoolander's up there. Anchorman's up there. Blazing Saddles.
Hurricanes in a 6-game skid for Anaheim. Primetime face-off 7:30 p.m. Saturday against New York. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate, then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Trey Westerberg with your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. I'm Mark Ryan. You're like me, you're no interior decorator, and you need a bit of help putting together a space. I'm beyond grateful I met my friends at Smith & James Fine Men's Clothing because they make me look like
I am not an interior decorator. Absolutely Die Hard's a Christmas movie, Kevin. Come on. The excuses, no, it's just a movie that was made at Christmas. Which makes it a Christmas movie. It's centered around Christmas. There are Christmas trees everywhere. Yeah, you know what I mean. The movie is centered around Christmas. The reason why John McClane is there is because it's Christmas. And filming a Christmas movie in June is actually a smarter move because you don't have to deal with the actual snow unless you want that kind of authenticity. There you go. That's a good point. Oh, yes, I agree. Gremlins is a Christmas movie for sure.
It is almost time for the great Is Die Hard a Christmas movie debate.
It's already asked.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
On the stream up there it is.
Which it is a Christmas movie. So, I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I mean. So according to Schefter, John Walford, who is listed as questionable with a neck injury, is it depends on how he's doing before the game during pregame warmups. If he's still not doing well, Baker Mayfield will actually start tonight.
I can see it.
If he starts and he shows out, we'll be tweeting at Rashad asking for an apology, a counter apology.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're you.
Doesn't this sound like wrestling entrance music?
Yeah, it does.
Like generic wrestling.
It's create a character.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Create a character, rock song number 3. It's not bad.
It's called Afterburner.
It's not bad as it goes. All right. So Desmond Ridder is going to be taking over as QB of the Atlanta Falcons. That was a question that I had on the show prep sheet because this past weekend attended a little football party with some of the boys. I say that as though we got like 12 of us together on NFL Sunday, right? Just a group of the Rudy River Riot, the soccer supporters group. A group of us came together to watch NFL football on Sunday. And I got Keegan came, right? P1 Keegan came. And Keegan showed up with some snacks that his much better half made. And he said, she handed it to him on the way out the door and said, have fun at your little football party, which is so damn demeaning. It really is. Have fun at your little football party.
Well, it was a little. You said it was a little.
It's like 12 of us.
Yeah, but you
When's
call
the last time you got 12 people together?
Yeah,
It's not easy.
You're asking me. Yeah. No, I know no one and have no friends. But you dubbed it as a little get together.
No, she did. I just
Okay,
I
all
like
right.
the joke.
Okay.
Have fun at your little football. Anyway,
So at what point is it no longer little? Was it like 15?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Have fun at your little football party. Anyway, our buddy Skrilla is a Falcons fan, right? So we're talking about the ATL, about the Dirty Birds, about the dumpster fire inside of a larger dumpster fire that is the NFC South right now. And I asked Skrilla, like, how far do you go with Marcus Mariota before you guys just go ahead and make the change to Desmond Ridder, right? Like at some point, you're going to have to make the move to Desmond Ridder. The Falcons, Lonzo, are a game and a half back of the NFC South lead. Like, we've spent time talking about the fact that the Panthers are 2 games back of the South, with a very good chance that in 3 weeks when they square up with Tampa, if Carolina can get a little help and can finish the job, they could come into that game with a share of the lead in the division. But Marcus Mariota ain't the dude, right? Like, I know we kind of made jokes about my take on Mariota being the reason the Falcons would fail, and he had an okay stretch, right? Won 3 out of 4 back in the, weeks 4 through 8, won 3 out of 4. Snagged a couple of wins since then, beat the Panthers, beat the Bears. But it's also lost to the Panthers and the Commanders and the Steelers and the Buccaneers. They got smoked by Cincinnati. They lost to the Rams. My question mark was, at some point you got to go to Dez, right? And now they have. So I'm just curious as to how the Falcons fans feel about the switch. I think you got to be good for it, right? Marcus Mariota has been pedestrian, right? Like, he's a serviceable backup. 184 out of 300. That's a 61.3% completion percentage. Just over 2,200 yards, 15 TDs, 9 interceptions, and a QB rating of 88. He's projected to finish the year with 2,900 yards as of today if he was to keep playing. But they're coming off the bye, right? They're coming off the bye. Why not make the switch? I think it's the right switch. I frankly don't know what Desmond Ridder is capable of. Desmond Ridder is kind of one of those cats that he could be Lamar. He could be Tua. He could be Johnny Manziel. I don't know. But I think now's the time to find it out, right? Because here's the deal. Atlanta coming up over the next few weeks. They've got Carolina. Scratch that. They've got New Orleans one more time. They've got Tampa. This is a Falcons team that I think, quite frankly, is not going to be able to compete for the South, even though they are closer to the division lead than Carolina. They've got the Saints, the Ravens, the Cardinals, and the Bucs. They're going with Mariota 1-3 through that stretch. They'll beat New Orleans. They will not beat Baltimore. They will not beat Arizona. Toss up Tampa, but it's the final week of the year, and I think Tampa's playing for a playoff spot, so you're going to catch good Tom Brady. 1-3 down the stretch. They're not competing for the South, even though they're in second right now. However, they very much could be in it next year, but you need to know if Dez is the guy or if you got to make a QB move in the offseason. You might as well run the experiment now. It's the right move, Atlanta. We got 1 hour left. We'll hit the ground running when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Explore the wonder of Winterfest clothes and find unbeatable deals on unbeatable gifts. Brittany Griner is on her way back to the United States roughly 10 months after initially being taken into custody in Russia. The Biden administration is paying the steep price of returning convicted arms dealer Victor Bout to Russia. It was also unable to secure the release of American Paul Whelan. The president said those negotiations continue. Whelan's family said in a statement Biden did the right thing by getting Griner home. After losing out on Trey Turner, then Aaron Judge, the Padres did finally find someone to take their money. Former Red Sox shortstop Xander Bogaerts, 11 years, $280 million. Bogaerts moving to San Diego likely means a move to the outfield from Fernando Tatis Jr. As you heard at the start of the show, the Celtics hammered the Suns last night in Phoenix, 125-98. The lead was 45. Boston now at NBA best 21-5. The Pelican win streak is 5 after a 104-98 victory over the Pistons.
That would be your NBA Western Conference leading Pelicans. Thank you very much, sports announcer dude.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
It's a new day. Those COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall, well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. You can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Dell Technologies Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call the Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need
Forgot to mention to you yesterday, I got jump scared. Doesn't happen very often.
How'd that feel?
A jump scared by squirrels. Big old fat squirrels, because I've been negligent on my leaves this year, and they jumped out of the leaves as I'm getting ready to walk up my steps, and it's like, oh. And all I can think of is Rob Brown would have had a heart attack right now.
I'd like to think that I would have been taken out by squirrels. Not taken out by squirrels. Scared into a heart attack by squirrels.
I mean, it got me. It made me jump. And I was, again, I do live in the woods, so it could have been anything. I was relieved when they were squirrels. And there was 2 of them, and they're fat squirrels. So it's kind of a weird question, Kevin. Maybe, I don't know. I don't look at anyone's basement. So you more likely to watch the game tonight knowing that Baker might be starting, knowing how bad both teams are? I mean, the Raiders are doing have started playing pretty well lately. The Rams have not. So I don't know. Video game awards are on tonight, so I might have to pull a Rob Brown and have video game awards on the laptop, have the NFL game on one TV, and then play a game on another TV.
Dun, dun.
I downloaded and started playing the entire Star Wars Lego saga yesterday because I hadn't played the first couple. I told you about that, right?
It's on Game Pass now, right?
Yeah, all of them together, so you can play them in a row. You got to start with Phantom Menace, though. You don't have a choice. So you have to progress as the movies
I
progress.
gotcha. I'm okay with that.
Although you can start out playing as Qui-Gon and I keep killing Obi-Wan. He keeps getting in the way. I mean, you know. Warehouse.
Kevin asked if the Falcons could get Stetson Bennett out of the transfer portal. Oh, man. Welcome back. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo on the other side of the board. Your tweets, texts, phone calls, and emails are welcome. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air, or pop us off a phone call at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FAN-FONE. That's 844-326-3663. You can also, if you got something more long format but don't want to go on the air, my email address is there for you as well. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com if you want to email me. All right. Gamecocks. Let's talk for just a minute, shall we? There was a news story that came out from the Big Spur. And the Big Spur has Tony Morrell reporting that Marcus Satterfield, the former offensive coordinator turned Nebraska OC, was informed after the Florida game where the offense scored 0 points that he would not be brought back to South Carolina next season. And that would make sense to me, right? In that they were trying to do it in a way that they could keep it quiet so that Sat could go get another job, right? Could do so without having to tell other schools, yeah, I just got fired by South Carolina. Can I please come work for you? And with Matt Rule going to Nebraska, a guy that he had some connections with, it could be framed as, hey, Sat has already worked with Matt Rule. He's already done the Matt Rule thing, so it's a good fit. It's an obvious fit. South Carolina doesn't have to look like the bad guy by firing one of Shane's guys. Shane doesn't have to be the bad guy by publicly firing one of his friends. And Matt Rule in Nebraska don't have to know that Sat was going to get fired before they bring the guy in. It works out on every front. Then Morrell went on to say that South Carolina in the final 2 games, you may remember those 2 games, one in which they scored 63 against the previously top 5 Tennessee Volunteers, and another one. Zoe, do you remember what happened in that Clemson game? By chance? You might. I don't remember if you remember.
South Carolina defeated Clemson.
Yeah, I just wanted you to be the one to have the joy to say that.
Yeah, they did. You know what? It'll be the same tomorrow and the next day and for the next pretty much a year.
So after those 2 games where the offense did look dramatically better against Tennessee and certainly more streamlined against Clemson, Tony Morrell is reporting that the offense was simplified in the final 2 games. Going into those 2 games, South Carolina had 19 different personnel packages, according to Tony Morrell, in those last 2 games. And I'm going to go back and watch it on film now because I'm genuinely curious, right? I did not catch on to this, but I'm also dumb. So Morrell's reporting that there were 19 different personnel packages run throughout the year. They ran just 5 in the final 2 games, which would make sense, right? Because Jaheim Bell, while being a target, is not going to be involved. No one player is going to be involved in the majority of 19 personnel schemes. But if you simplify it down to 5, even if he is only in 2 of those personnel schemes, he's going to see the field and he's going to touch the rock more often. And that's what we saw down the stretch against Tennessee and Clemson. So that would make sense. And the decision not just to relieve Marcus Satterfield of his duties as the OC, but to do so privately really kind of fits well for everybody. Beamer gets to go find his new offensive coordinator. Satterfield gets to go coach with Matt Rule. Hopefully he learned a couple of things during his time at South Carolina. The university doesn't have to publicly fire him. He doesn't have to get publicly fired. It makes his resume look better to help Matt Rule sell him to Nebraska, et cetera, et cetera. It works well for everybody, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we find out that the name being attached to the job right now of offensive coordinator is Arkansas tight end coach Dowell Loggains, Loggains. I can't tell you, Zoe, if that is the correct pronunciation of his last name because I've never heard the name before.
Nor have I, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't be a good offensive coordinator just because we haven't heard of him before. You're not known until you're known, Rob. That's how that works.
I agree. Here's what I find myself thinking as I read up on this cat. This dude has spent time in a couple of different locations over the years. He was in the league for a number of years, began his coaching career back in 2008 as an offensive quality control coach for the Titans, moved in 2010 into their quarterbacks coaching role. In 2012, he spent 1 year as the offensive coordinator. Did not go well. He was removed from that office and he went to the Cleveland Browns. He was the QB coach there for a year. Then he went to Chicago. He was the QB coach there for a season. Moved up to the Bears offensive coordinator for 2016 and 17. Was removed there, went to the Dolphins as their OC. Was there for a single year before he went to the Jets 2019 and 2020 as the OC and QB coach. It did not go well there. He ended up at Arkansas as the tight ends coach. This guy has been an offensive coordinator, granted, exclusively at the National Football League level, but it has not gone well. Now,
same thing with Matt Rule. And we've discussed many times about how he may just not be a good NFL coach. There's a lot of college coaches that we could say were good college coaches, like Spurrier, like guys like that were not very good in the NFL, went back to college and were fine. I'm not saying this guy is in the vein of those guys, but you know.
Correct. However, it's also a risk, right? It's absolutely also a risk. And I think that you've got to know that. You've got to know that if you are Shane Beamer. You got to know that if you're South Carolina. You got to know that if you're a Gamecocks fan, because if you go look down the history, right? He goes to Tennessee, OC there. Ken Wisenhunt took over as the head coach in 2014, did not stay with the organization. Now, that's a new head coach. New head coaches bring their own OC. His fault? Maybe, maybe not. Went with the Browns. He was one of the loudest voices in the room, Zoe, as an advocate of drafting Johnny Manziel. That did not go well. He ended up
Johnny Manziel fooled a lot of people.
He sure did, me included.
Yeah.
Me included. He went to Chicago. He was there with the Bears. He interviewed as OC for the Giants. He was instead hired as for the Bears. The Giants turned him down as an OC. That being said, in 2015, Jay Cutler had one of his best seasons in the Bears offense. He had the highest passer rating of his career, highest completion percentage of his career, 11 interceptions, lowest total in his career, an interception percentage of 2.3, the lowest in a season where he started at least 12 games, 21 touchdowns, second most since 2011. Had a pretty solid year, was promoted to the OC when Adam Gase left the position to head down to Miami. The Bears struggled, however, once he moved from QB coach to OC. They went down to the 32nd ranked offense at the end of that year. He was ranked the 32nd most efficient play caller in the NFL. He was let go after that year. After head coach John Fox was fired in Miami, Legaines reunited with Adam Gase in Miami, landed the OC position there. It went poorly again. We know what happened with Adam Gase. It went down here. He followed Adam Gase to the Jets. It went poorly there. So here's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily that I think this is a bad move from Shane Beamer, right? It's that it's a very questionable move, and it's a very early move, right? You've still got a lot of coaches out there at top-tier programs that have bowl games that they have to get through. You've got assistant coaches. One of the things that always happens with playoff teams and national championship teams, they got a handful of assistants that go, all right, promotion time, right? I was the QB coach here. I can be an OC somewhere else. Promotion time. That will become available. I'm not saying that because Rob Brown doesn't know anything about this cat, that it's a bad move. I'm saying at a point in time where the eyes of college football are very much pointed at the Gamecocks, are very much pointed at SC, at Shane Beamer, looking at them going, this team is on the verge of taking a step. And I truly believe that they are. That you're going to go grab a tight ends coach from Arkansas that has zero success as an offensive coordinator anywhere at all. Now, Shane Beamer did not have any experience as an offensive coordinator or a head coach. And I'd say so far, Lonzo, he's been pretty successful at South Carolina.
Done all right. 8 wins. That's all right.
So having experience in the position you're moving into is not the end-all be-all. Shane Beamer is literally exhibit A of that right now. But this dude has been an OC at the NFL multiple times, and he's failed all of them. He's had success as a quarterbacks coach, but he has failed or been replaced everywhere he's been as an OC. Once again, all at the NFL level, but all with the same results.
So should Beamer go on the air somewhere or on the internet and go, hey, Gamecock fans, I'm thinking about picking this guy as our offensive coordinator. What do you guys think? Because you guys know. Should I or should I not? Check yes or check no.
Look, if you trust Shane Beamer, trust in his decision-making process, right? If you trust him, trust in your decision-making process. Doesn't mean I can't question the decision.
You know, after him defeating the mighty Clemson Tigers, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
Because if you can beat that colossal once-in-a-lifetime team up the road, then you've got something. So, whoever he picks, I think they're going to be great as long as they continue the trend of defeating those Tigers. I'm standing with Shane.
And again, I'm not judging you if you do, right? I'm not judging you if you do. I read a tweet here. I'll give him a shout out. My partner in crime, Mark Ryan, host of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel.
Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is now.
3 to 7 p.m. right here on the Fan Upstate. He tweeted out last night, Arkansas tight end coach Dowell Logans appears to be Beamer's target as the new Gamecock football coach per sources. I know the name isn't on the A list of Gamecock fans, but at this point, hasn't Beamer earned your trust? Do you genuinely believe he knows what he's doing? Then all caps, buy in.
Exactly. And I agree with Mark there. So, which we do a lot more than people think. I don't want to say you should put absolute trust in the coach, but in the end, it's his decision, and he's doing pretty well right now. And if, according to what you read, he was going to get rid of Satterfield anyway, that means he's listening, and he also understands where the problem was. And despite as bad as everyone believes Satterfield was, they still won 8 games and put up a ton of points on some teams that they weren't supposed to.
Listen, I say this with all due respect to Marcus Satterfield. I'm not giving Satterfield credit for the Tennessee and Clemson games. All right. The offense was entirely different than Satterfield's offense up until the last 2 games. 10 games it looked one way. The last 2 games it looked entirely different and much more successful. In fact, if anything, and again, I'm not saying to disparage the guy. I hope he does well in Nebraska. But if you have 10 games where the offense looks relatively mundane, even if you won a few of them, 10 games where the offense looked mundane, and then all of a sudden you're a powder keg in the last 2 weeks, my question is then, why weren't you that all season long? Why weren't you doing that against Arkansas, against Missouri, against Florida? If the offense that played Tennessee and the offense that played Clemson shows up against Florida, they win that game. If the offense that played Tennessee and Clemson showed up against Missouri, they win that game. Now they're not an 8-win team, Lonzo. They're a 10-2 team. Now, a loss to Georgia, you go, yeah, it's the best team in the country. No problem there. Hell, if the offense that played against Clemson and Tennessee, and again, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, it'd all be a Merry Christmas or whatever the hell that saying is. If that offense plays Arkansas, South Carolina's 11-1, right? Now, is that me saying look for South Carolina to be an 11-1 program this year? No, hell no. Not yet. They're still building. There's a lot more to go. But the not sat offense of the last 2 weeks looked a hell of a lot different than the sat offense of the first 10 games. So my other question here is, has Coach Beamer earned your trust enough for you to just go, okay, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to trust this guy to make the right call. When, Lonzo, Shane Beamer let Marcus Satterfield stay at the controls for 9 or for 10 games where the offense looked ho-hum most of the time, and then finally pulled the controls away from Sat in weeks 11 and 12, and the offense exploded. You're going, wait a minute. If he'd have made that decision in week 6, we're 10-2, not 8-4. And it's a reasonable hypothesis, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like a fan hypothesis where the fans think they know how to do things. We're the ones who got Satterfield gone, so we're the ones who are going to get the right OC in there.
No.
All right.
Nope. Hang with me. Let me try that one more time. I'm bad at communicating.
I hang with you every day.
I know. I'm so sorry. You deserve hazard pay. The offense that played Tennessee and Clemson was a much better offense than the first 10 games of the season. True or false?
It would appear so.
It's true. Not appear so. It's a statement of fact. The offense on the field against Tennessee, the offense on the field against Clemson was a objectively, empirically, visually better offense than rolled out the first 10 weeks of the season. Now, could that offense have kept it up for 4 or 5 or 6 more games? I don't know, right? You went from 19 personnel packages down to 5. If you'd have rolled that 5 personnel offense out against Arkansas, maybe you win the Arkansas game, but now there's tape on it for Missouri and Florida. Would it have worked as well with tape out there? Who the hell knows? We don't know. What I do know is I would love to have seen it. Love to have seen it. Because I don't care how much tape there is, Missouri ain't beating the South Carolina offense that played Tennessee, that played Clemson. Florida, because they pounded the SC defense, still might have won that game, but it'd have been a hell of a lot more entertaining, right? So if Beamer sat there and let Satterfield run his 19 personnel group complicated offense for 10 games, finally pulled him off the controls for weeks 11 and 12, and then the offense became a powder keg and exploded, is there any part of you that goes, does he really have a grasp on it, right? I think he does. I think Shane's doing a great job. Let me be abundantly clear. I think Shane's doing a great job. But you can think somebody is doing a great job and still make a poor decision in that process.
I'm just not going to, I'm happy if Satterfield was the problem, and he appears to be, that he's gone. And I'm going to wait and see with great anticipation who the replacement is. And if it's this guy, going to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know why? Because I can't hire or fire him. So I got to hope and believe that he's going to be good.
I mean, listen, hope and believe are the trademarks of a fan. That's what fans do. They hope, they believe.
And some grieve and are angry
Correct.
also. But yeah.
I am not a fan. I'm an analyst. It is not my job to rah-rah shish boom bah Shane Beamer's coaching decisions, or Dabo's, or Arthur Smith's, or anybody else. My job is not to rah-rah shish boom bah. That's your job as a fan. My job is to critically analyze them and try to make a prognostication on what's going to happen. I'm looking at an offensive coordinator, potential hire of Arkansas's tight end coach, who has spent almost his entire career in the league and has failed every time he's been an offensive coordinator. Again, at the NFL level, not the college level. And as we've seen with guys like Spurrier and Saban and Matt Rule, some guys are just made to be college coaches, and some guys are just made to be NFL coaches. And occasionally there's a Pete Carroll who can do both. Occasionally, rarely, a guy who can do both. That's the exception, not the rule. But what I can say is, not only does the dude not have college football offensive coordinator position experience, the guy has like a year and a half of college tight end coach experience. That's it. Now, if the guy had been at college football level for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, like Shane, had been under Kirby and Nick, like Shane, and had traveled and been around some really successful programs like Shane, and came from A+ purebred coaching stock like Shane, I'd be a little bit more confident.
So maybe,
But he's got none of the qualifications that Shane Beamer had as a not experienced head coach.
maybe this is just me going from life experience when I started in radio. And I remember the person who hired me went, "You have no experience in this at all. You've never done anything. All you've ever did is run sound at church." Yep. And they gave me a chance.
Right, they
And-
gave you a
and
drive time hosting job, right?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. I wasn't trying for a drive time.
Right, but my point is,
If I was, I'd have knocked it out and I'd still be there. Because, I mean, you guys know.
my point is, when I walked
He's
into my
not,
first building,
he is not going for a head coaching job. He's going for the equivalent of being a producer. That's what he's doing.
he's going for the equivalent of being an executive producer.
Exactly.
Lonzo, how many people could we go pluck off the street right now, give them a week, and be able to do your job in its entirety? Not this show, your entire job. How many guys could we go find with no experience that we could plug into that role and they would just excel?
I'm no one special. I'm just dependable, and I have no friends, so I'm always available. So, I mean,
But that's what makes a good EP.
there's some guys out there like that.
The-
Or girls. I mean,
right, but
it
the
doesn't
point
matter.
is, you would have to train them up and give them some experience first, right? You don't just throw a dude into the role. You make him a tight end coach, and you see if he does that, and then you move him up to a QB coach.
But
and then you move
you're
him up to whatever
you're
other role.
just making it sound like he's coming in off the street. That's my point. He's
He
been
kind of is.
no, he's been around. Dude has been on a ton of teams and things like that.
He's been on a ton of NFL teams,
Yeah.
and he's failed with all of
Yeah,
them.
so he's been at the highest level, and so now he's coming
And
down to the
failed at
level
that.
below. Well, fine. By the way, is his hire been confirmed?
No, it's just
So I mean,
this could all be a wasted.
yeah,
segment.
yeah. I mean, it could be someone just threw that out there to get everyone to do all this, and then they'll bring in some name that people have heard of, and everyone will be excited.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. South Carolina fans looking for you. Couple of texts. Texter says, what Rob says is why NFL games are bad. What? What do you mean? Hit me up with a follow through there. I appreciate it. Texture says it was on the Gamecocks Facebook Instagram page. I'll go check it. Texture said, I trust Coach Beamer. He's the coach. I'm the fan. He coaches and I support. I'm here for the duration, whoever is the coach. You're still allowed to have an opinion, Cocky, for a reason. You're still allowed to have the opinion. I am not a fan. I'm an analyst. That's why I'm critical. It's my job. I get paid to be cynical. That's why Lonzo's so good at this job. We get paid to be cynical. Texture says, good for Sat if you throw up huge offensive numbers to say bleep you on the way out the door. It got us 2 dubs against 10 and Clem sucks. Win-win. Texture says, if Beamer wants to be the we got NFL guys here to help you get to the next level, live it. If you want to be the I'm going to hire my graduate assistant and Sunday school teacher, live that too. I mean, look, it's his team. He can pick whoever the hell he wants. Doesn't mean I can't project how it's going to go. I got more texts. I'll read the rest of them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Warehouse.
Got to read stream. We will be right back.
Yeah, yesterday, as soon as you logged off,
Yeah.
StreamYard crashed for me.
Really?
So I told you it was weird. And then I restarted the computer and went back into it and it was fine. It could be the computer, or it could be that, I was singled out for some reason for something. I don't know. By the way, I'm back to the squirrels. This new generation of squirrels,
Back
not,
to the squirrels.
not as effective as the last generation. The last ones were ninjas. These new squirrels, they're trying to learn. So I'm probably good for another generation. They're waiting for me to get old enough to not be able to move, and then I'm going to get nailed with acorns every day. All right, it is time for the Fight Club. We talk about Squared Circle. We talk about fights in the Odyssey hallway. We talk about fights in the Walmart parking lot.
I saw somebody the other day in a Walmart parking lot fight video drop a very effective angle slam on a dude.
Cool.
Like legit got the knee lift and everything.
Wait a
Very
minute.
impressive.
Wrestling isn't real, so how could the moves, a wrestling move, actually physically
I'd
hurt
say if
someone?
I ever get in a bar fight, I'm not going for an angle slam.
Yeah, me either.
It would work if you can get it, but I can't imagine it's an easy hook. This guy ran right into it.
Scorpion death drop for sure. I mean, if you can get one, it's gonna work.
Here's the thing with that. Like if you get me,
Oh,
bit,
they're
I'm just
already
gonna
beat.
twist over.
I was gonna say they're already beat by the time you can do that. So what you're doing is you're just putting a bow on it, so to speak. I've already destroyed you. Now here's how I'm taking you down and taking you out. All right. Speaking of taking someone down, it did not happen really in the Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland fight, which is one of the best MMA fights I've ever seen. I've seen a bunch live. I've seen a bunch on pay-per-view and this, by the way, was free on ESPN. So you should have watched it. If you didn't, go back and watch it because it was not only
Fight of the year candidate.
not only did I think that, but Michael Bisping said the same thing. And I quote, best fight that we've ever seen inside the UFC octagon. Bisping said on his YouTube channel, I know that's big talk. You're crazy, Bisping. We've had a lot of good fights and maybe it's recency bias, but in Orlando, Florida, Saturday night in front of a sold out house, the crowd was epic. That fight was ridiculous. Okay. Absolutely ridiculous. The technique that we saw from Stephen Thompson, the showmanship and the gameness and toughness that we saw from Kevin Holland and the excitement back and forth. I mean, come on, it doesn't really get much better than that. And it doesn't. The announcers billed it as Kung Fu versus karate. And apparently before the match, according to reports, or before the fight rather, they both decided they weren't going to do takedowns. So it was a straight up fight. Yeah, a couple of times there were takedowns. Holland got Stephen Thompson down and he stood up and let him get up.
I saw that,
Yeah.
but I did not know the reason for it. I was like, why would you not get on him right there? I mean, it's fine by me. Like,
and Holland broke his hand at one point and unfortunately had to stop the fight before the final round. And you could tell, I mean, that he had hurt his hand pretty bad, but this was great. I mean, it was fast. As far as Stephen Wonderboy Thompson goes, it's good to see him winning and doing it the way he does. Cause still, maybe someday there will be, but for now, the fastest kicks that's ever been in the octagon. It's just amazing how quick he can kick you in the head. And it was a great match.
no, I agree. I did go out of my way. I got to tell you, I had kind of fallen off.
It's time though. It's time though. College football is over.
Yep.
Now is when they'll start putting together some really good cards.
Yep. I agree. I had kind of fallen off UFC. I hadn't really watched a lot of cards. But obviously, when I saw Wonderboy, and not just fighting, but fighting on a free event, because I've got the ESPN Plus, I was like, well, yeah, I'm in. It turned out to be a fight that I really just tuned in because I'm like, okay, it's Wonderboy. I'm going to have to talk about this next week. I'm damn glad I watched. It was and Zoe knows, when it comes to MMA, like the showmanship aspect of it doesn't really matter that much to me. Just give me a good fight. Like, show me who the better fighter is. I don't need to know who's better with pyro and walkout music. I want to know who the better fighter is. As a show goes, you got every bit of entertainment in the octagon you wanted.
And these were guys, I mean, you can enjoy a fight where there's a lot of animosity between the two fighters and they hate each other and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not against that either. That's very entertaining. But these guys liked each other and they still went out there and tried to kick each other's head off. And it was just so much fun. I think if more MMA fights were like this, their fan base would grow for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. It was what I want this sport to be, right? Like, you can entertain me in the octagon. Like, if two dudes get in there and start jawing and whatever, that's fine. Two dudes got a lot of respect for each other and have to put together a really tactical plan, because that's fine. Entertain me in the octagon and keep it there. And you're going to get me. I will not miss another Wonder Boy fight. I will not miss another one because of that fight and how good it was.
So I will, again, congratulations to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on the victory. And I hope you're not done. And he says he's not done and he wants to go after the belt again. I hope he gets another shot.
You know, he lives not too far from our buddy Joe B that checks in on the stream every now and then. And we were talking about that fight Sunday and he's like, yeah. I was like, man, he looked like he took a beating. It is a good win, but he got hit. And he goes, yeah. I'll ask him next time I see him walking his dog. I'm like, you just see him walking his dog? He's like, yeah, he just goes out and walks his dog. He's a normal dude. I go, can you get him on the show? He's like, yeah. So we'll see if we can get Wonder Boy on.
Yeah, he's out and about. I've had a chance to interview him before when on a couple of different occasions, and he's always a fun interview. He's friends with the guys down the hall too. So, but yeah, and he's out and about. He's probably out right now listening to the radio in the community. And for some reason, I think most people think an MMA fighter, you know, they're hugely rich and they're in a mansion somewhere off on their own and they don't have interaction with people, but he's not like that. So, which is really cool. All right, let's get to some AEW stuff really quick. Darby Allin wants to die, and I don't get it. I don't get why you'd pay someone to basically try to get himself killed every time he walks into the. First of all, going up against Samoa Joe, you're going to get hurt, or he's going to get hurt and be out for 6 months. But going up against Samoa Joe, that's what he does. And I told Rob before he watched it, I was like, watch this. Watch what happens in this match. And I believe that that Darby went up to Samoa Joe and said, do your worst. And Samoa Joe just had that little grin. And if you've watched him, you know what I'm talking about, and said, okay. And then he did. How's that guy get up in the morning? I don't understand.
Slowly, I'm assuming at the end of the match, for those of you that did not watch or haven't gotten a chance to see it last night's fight yet, at the end of the match, after it was over, and honestly, I thought it was entertaining, right? Like, regardless of the reason why, I thought it was very entertaining. At the end of the match, Darby rolled up to Joe and pushed him again. So Joe gave him a headbutt, but then he picked up Darby's skateboard, put it wheels up, and hit the muscle buster on him on top of the upturned skateboard. I told Joe, I'm like, I don't know how much you'd have to pay me to take that bump, but it's six figures. Minimum.
There've been guys out there who rode skateboards as a kid and who've had that happen accidentally. There's no way they would ask. No. It's just all right. Staying in AEW, Regal supposedly recorded a video 2 weeks ago, and he did it for the good of the Blackpool Combat Club. That's why he did it. That's why he turned on them, because they didn't need him anymore, and he thought they would keep hanging on to him. So the only way that he could get out of it was doing what he did, and also putting a target on MJF's back while doing it, because propelling him to the championship, so he'd have to deal with everyone coming at him. So, you know, as Regal leaves and goes back to the WWE.
You say that like, oh, what a great victory. You're so happy about it.
No. I'm just saying that because some people are saying that's not happening. Either way, I don't care.
No, I think we pretty much confirmed it.
Yeah. I mean, good for him. A lot of people are going back now that Vince is gone, which says a lot about what the company's about now. So, and you still doing this. Listen, I'm not picking between the two. You think that I'm only picking on AEW. I see the potential that they could be, and they got there at one point, but I think they're on the decline in some ways. And I hate to see that happen because I love the competition between the two, makes them both better. Speaking of competition that's horrible, watch the FTR versus the Acclaimed match. It was not good. And I've seen, and here's the difference. Okay, Rob hangs in circles where they tell him what he loves. And I go to all circles where they talk about both sides. And I get that. I get that as a wrestling fan. He likes to hear, you're right, you're right, you're right. But I've seen a bunch of things like on Botchamania and a bunch of things like that about how bad that match was. And the first thing he said to me is that he heard it was a great match. It was not. It was not. I wanted it to be a great match because I like the Acclaimed. I really do. I mean, everyone loves the Acclaimed. I mean, you just have to. But there is chemistry when a wrestling match happens, whether it's women, tag team, singles, whatever. If chemistry is not there, botches happen. And there was no chemistry between these two teams. And that's horrible. And they looked blown up near the end of the thing. And it was ugly. It was not good for the main event scene. And there's a reason why people were talking about it. That's all I'm saying.
You done? Can I have 30 seconds?
Well, it's your show, and we're just. Well, I mean, we don't have time to get to the two pages that I have. Yeah, I mean, because there's actually two. There's a pay-per-view and a premium live event this weekend. But.
Sure are. First off, no, I do not run in circles where other people tell me what to think and like.
I never said what to think.
Second off, no, I don't, as a wrestling fan, like to be told that I'm right. I just like to be told that I'm right. All right. Which you don't have to tell me because I am most of the time. As a wrestling fan, as a radio guy, whatever. Anyway, all that being said, Lonzo is strictly an anti-FTR guy. They could put on the bangerest of banging 5 stars and Lonzo would find a way to critique it.
I don't criticize them if they stay off the ropes because they say they don't do that. But in this case, I'm blaming the Acclaim too. I mean, there was, when there's a missed spot and you have to like stand there and wait for the other person to come because something was supposed to happen, or the good ones.
Brian Cage jumped out of the ring to eliminate.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, the good ones will find a way to hit the spot again. They'll just do something, general, and then they'll come back and
he jumped out of the ring. Ah. So bad.
See, and stuff like that. And the bad part is there always seems to be a camera on them when they do that.
I will say this before we hit the break. You are absolutely right. AEW is struggling right now. Now, they've got some highs, right? I absolutely think the Acclaimed are in fuego right now. When they started the best of 7 match for the Trios Championship, I'm like, oh, best of 7. All 3 so far have been bangers. I have enjoyed all of them. I'm interested to see what the BCC does without William Regal, but AEW is floundering a little bit. And I think it's a result of immaturity of management, right? Like, I think it's a bunch of people who have never run a wrestling show that have now hit the point where they're like, okay, WWE's found itself. People aren't leaving WWE because of how bad it is and we're the only option. Now we have to earn eyeballs, and they don't really know how to do it yet. Darby Allin's a monster, and I love him. The dude entertains the hell out of me. Even if we are going to watch him genuinely kill himself one day. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll come back. Got a few more thoughts on the South Carolina stuff that you guys have hit me with during that segment. We'll try to get those in. See if we can fit in some Twitter on the way out the door. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
You want to skip Twitter?
Do what?
You want to skip Twitter? Because we just went pretty late, so
yeah, that's my fault.
No, it's
no, 100% is. We started your segment at 31, which is my fault.
Right. Well,
and I apologize about that.
Yeah, I'm offended, and I'm going to management.
I would. I want Rob out of here. He's trash.
There's a way to solve this, management. 2 segments. I'll let it go. Hope you guys know we're joking, because if I wanted to on Saturday nights, I could do nothing but talk wrestling for the entire show. It would just be me talking because I lost all my wrestling guys, but
Lost all my wrestling guys.
Well, they quit. So, you know, I didn't lose them. I know where they are. One's like a cop and one's a golfer.
How selfish of them.
I know, right? Should stay with me forever. So we're gonna be right at 50. What you want to do? I mean,
Let me get a couple of South Carolina takes in real quick.
Okay.
And then if we have time for one or two, unless you've got one that you like, we need to hit.
no, I really only had two.
Okay.
So one sports, one entertainment. So if we have time, we have time. If we don't, we don't. I bumped myself. I'm all right with that.
Lonzo out here taking bumps.
Not Darby Allin bumps though, because I ain't doing that.
My back hurts watching that.
So my daughter ragdoll someone like that one time. She was running the first base.
Shoot fight.
She was running the first base, and the girl was running over to get her out. She hit her. This girl like helicoptered through the air, just hit the ground and went back in the air, and just it was just. And then Raven just turned around, had no idea what happened. I can't remember if I have that on camera or not. I need to look that up because I was usually taping all those. The crowd's going nuts, and she's just looking around like, what? I mean,
don't block the base.
Especially first base. I mean, you know, you're supposed to run through that. So if you get in the way of the train. Maybe someday, Kevin. Yeah, should have did that. I live in the woods in Gray Court, and I can't pick up the station there barely, even in my car, because all the trees and the atmosphere. There's like something hanging over the area. I don't know what it is. Might be like meth smoke. I don't know if that affects things, but heard tell. I'm your host dog. I would say when in Rome or when in Woodruff, whatever. I mean, whatever. I'm excited about going to see TSO tomorrow because I've never been.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I'm going to react to it.
You'll love it.
I
You will
mean,
genuinely like it.
Is this a stand up and watch concert or is it a sit down kind
sit
of
down.
concert? Is it good?
Yeah,
Good.
it's a sit down concert, but it's a rock concert.
Oh, I know. I know. I mean, do I let my hair down or do I go conservative?
You let
I
your
don't
hair
know.
down, they might think you're in the band.
Works for me. I've seen Stoneman interview a couple of the guys, and I probably would fit. I'm about the right age range too for some of those guys. So.
Just keep. There's one long wavy hair guitar player. When he gets up to play, watch him. All right, gonna forgo Twitter because I got a bunch of you guys that have chimed in on the South Carolina rumor going around. Again, I have not seen it made official as of yet that Dow Luggins is going to be the new offensive coordinator, the tight end coach at Arkansas. But I'll say this. I'll say this. First and foremost, flight trackers. Do you guys do flight trackers? I am obsessed
Come on.
with Flight Tracker.
Come on. You've reached a certain level when you're tracking flights.
I'm obsessed with flight trackers. It is flight track season, ladies and gentlemen. The University of South Carolina Gamecock football jet took off at 10:40 a.m. this morning, headed to Charlotte, North Carolina. Just a heads up. Don't know if that means anything at all, but headed up to Charlotte.
I know a guy at that airport. Maybe I should hit him up and see if he's seen anything.
See if anybody gets on in Charlotte. All right, so a couple other things. Number one, Logains was recruiting actively yesterday in Oklahoma on behalf of Arkansas, right? So there is a little bit of wind blowing back at the smoke that says he's the guy. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's not. Here's the numbers I found during the break. 2016 Bears offensive coordinator. The Bears averaged 17 points per game. They were ranked 28th in the league offensively. 2017 Bears offensive coordinator, 16.5 points per game. They got worse, 29th in the NFL. 2018 Dolphins offensive coordinator, ranked 19.9 points per game, 26th in the league. 2019 Jets OC, 17.2 points per game, 31st in the league. 2020 Jets offensive coordinator, 15.2 points per game, ranked dead last in the league. 2021 Arkansas tight end coach. He's been there ever since. Okay. Here's all I'm going to say about this cat. This dude was an offensive coordinator in the National Football League, Lonzo, for 6 seasons. Can't say I've ever heard the name before. Okay? That's take that.
Yeah,
take that as you will.
but at the same time, you haven't heard him overly criticized to the point where people are, the name because everyone wanted him fired.
Yeah, but I think that's because he was so bad it wasn't even like he was so bad that his head coaches were getting fired. Right? That's how bad the teams were. His head coaches were getting fired, not him. Look, I don't know the justification, if there is any, of this higher potential out of Shane Beamer. The only thing I'll say is this. The dude runs a pro-style offense. South Carolina's games against Tennessee and Clemson, you won because you ran a simplified pro-style offense. Is he the best pro-style offensive coordinator that South Carolina could have landed? I do not know. But the numbers of his pro-style offense in the pros are pretty ugly. It's pretty bad. Not great results. Never higher than 26th most efficient offense in the National Football League. Then he goes to college. He's been there 2 years as a tight end coach. I think it's fair to question the decision. That's all I'm saying. We'll talk more about it on tomorrow's edition of the show. Jim Rome's up next to take you in the jungle. Mark and Diesel go off sides at 3. That's Lonzo. I'm Rob. And this was the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Why'd you say it that way? Like there was finality. Like it was. Not anymore.
It was today's the Rob Brown
Show. It was today's. Yeah.
We will, as of right now, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll be back tomorrow.
As of right now, we'll be back tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow back here on the show. Bye.